The case being Horsemen and Trainers Association had about 400 people up here, and they had numerous letters from representatives that we had considered questionable that were on our side. So I feel that we probably have more votes than we realized at the time. And it's not a question of whether we have the votes or not. It's just whether we want to go in an all-out major fight on something that may be rescinded next week anyway.
I have.
Okay. Do you feel that the...
I have an opinion now as to whether Mr. Elk there is guilty or not. Stage 2, as we call it. Can you consider both punishments, both?
Participated in some 10 years ago was in this courtroom, was it not? Is there anything about that particular...
Is there anything at all about that
Okay, all right. Now, let's start with the particular question. When I told you the name of Mr.
And that point is visible to all who pass by, north or south on I-35. It stands as tall as a semi-truck at Brown's, Texaco. The point is that Richard Riggs was a good guy, a good cop, and he had a lot of friends. One of those friends is Mary Haskell. She works with a picture of Riggs nearby. Riggs was the beat officer at Brown's, Texaco. Now there are new officers on the beat at Brown's. Mary Haskell has a fondness for all of the officers who frequent the truck stop, but she says she'll never forget Riggs.
Every time he came in, he always had a smile on his face, and I had never, ever heard him say a bad word about anybody. He always, had that little smile on his face when he came in.
Many of those who frequent the truck stop are glad the sign went up. Some say it serves as a reminder of the danger a police officer faces every day. The folks who run Brown's Texaco say the sign is a way to say thanks to a man whose job was protecting others.
We needed to put something up in remembrance of him to show the respect that everybody should have for him and the way that he was giving his time and duty for us. He gave his life for us.
Here in these last 5 years, we've seen many of the carriers have to share space with the long-standing carriers. They've had to share their boarding gates. It's causing congestion at those boarding gates. It's causing congestion out here in front of the airline ticket counters, and that's why we're particularly proud to see this expansion to the airport terminal.
And Leslie
trying to, negotiate with him, and we said we've been shot, and
describe for us specifically.
And then Ike started talking, and I don't remember what he said, but I do remember the last thing he said was, "Well, I don't want to have to shoot y'all, but," and then I heard a shot go off, and I felt the bullet hit me, and I heard another one go off, and my mother scream, And then I heard a whole series of shots go off.
Did you hear either your father or your sister make any sound?
Yes, my sister screamed.
Escorting.
For most people, it was just an inconvenience. Skidding tires at ice-covered intersections made it difficult to get where you were going. But there were also a lot of accidents. The most serious happened here on southeast Santa Fe, where a car slid on the ice trying to stop and was hit by a train. 50-year-old James Robinson of Shawnee was killed after his car was dragged more than 50 feet by the impact. And on the northeast side, a car went out of control on the ice, hit a telephone pole, and ended up in a ravine full of water. Rescue crews were called in, but the driver was able to walk away from the accident. And at the intersection of I-44 and Classen, a school bus carrying 3 special education students hit a car which had stalled in the snow. None of the students were hurt, and the driver of the car received minor injuries.
The lady was trying to get off the road and stop a minute, and the car started sliding off from what I could see, and just one of those things that couldn't be avoided.
The demand for food at the Jesus House is becoming overwhelming. Just tonight alone, volunteers served over 500 people who had nothing to eat. And that doesn't count another 300 food baskets going to needy families. The cold has forced many into desperate situations. So desperate, it's frightening, according to one Jesus House volunteer.
The people, we have all variety of people who come, and they are just hungry. They're hungry. They need clothes. They need furniture. They need this. They need that. There's no place for them to go there. There's a lot of people who are moving from one place to another, from one town, hoping to find jobs. They're being promised jobs, and then when they get here, they got nothing, you know.
Officials at the shelter say mattresses and blankets are needed on an urgent level to give people a place to sleep and some warmth. Donations are also needed to keep the food supply up. Many who are guests at the shelter never thought they'd need such a place. And now it's making the difference between life and death.
I'm glad that we got a place to stay here. We got our own room upstairs. It's not very big, but it's something. It's better than being in the cold.
As winter grows longer, so does the list of people that need this shelter. As crowded as it may be, it's providing warmth for many that may not survive without it. Ann Nyberg, News 4.
Right now, the distribution looks like it was all east of the Mississippi River, so that it wouldn't include us. Now, that doesn't mean that there might not be a wholesaler there that might have done business with someone in Oklahoma. We don't have any information yet, and FDA will advise us later. If there should be anything in this state, then we will begin to look for it.
In the state penitentiary.
I think the decision today to give the life sentence was maybe a compromise. I think we sometimes don't give jurors credit for being as smart as they are, but they made an intelligent decision after the first one because I believe they thought the best thing they could do was place Glenn Ake where he couldn't get out instead of sending him to a mental hospital, and they did that.
We do welcome you.
Also, where I felt that an important aspect is that mark. I think with the commitment that Oklahoma City Chamber, I think in the city and at the state level, because I would view it as a real opportunity now, is that there's a time period here now where everybody seems to be well aware that you need jobs here, and we'll do everything possible to support that.
The madness started before daybreak and will continue on into the night. The greenhouses in Oklahoma City are just about empty. Roses, tulips, even daisies are hot sellers today. It seems just about everyone wants flowers. And of course, local florists are more than happy to oblige.
It is the biggest single day of the year because mothers are Valentines, daughters are Valentines, husbands are Valentines, children, grandparents, everybody. So there's no limit.
Nor is there a limit to the number of heart-shaped cookies coming out of the oven at this Oklahoma City bakery. Special Valentine baskets filled with confectionery delights have been moving out of here by the hundreds. Cookies, cakes, and of course heart-shaped pastries are the big sellers. Like florists, bakers also make a lot of extra dough on Valentine's Day.
We worked all night last night and we're either delivering or picking up about between 300 and 400 baskets today.
And if romance is not your strong point, bring home the wife a heart-shaped pizza. It won't crumble like a cookie and will cost a lot less than the $65 you'd pay for a dozen roses. And just who would give a Valentine pizza as a gift? It seems plenty of people. Hemi says he sells a whole bunch of them every year. In northwest Oklahoma City, Kurt Autry, News 4.
General Revenue Fund is down approximately $178.5 million from the previous certification.
It started last week. Since then, state agencies have been reeling from the announcement that their budgets would be dealt major blows. The governor is calling for 17% cuts in all state agencies. Pat Hall represents the state workers who, like everyone else, are worried how they'll survive in the face of the money crisis. There are 36,000 state workers in Oklahoma. The Public Employees Association represents about 1/3 of them. It hopes to somehow save workers' jobs from the axe.
If they would just cut back 5% on travel, seminars, purchases of equipment, they would save $13.1 million. If they'd cut back 50%, that'd be a significant saving, and that alone would probably save an extra 1,500 to 2,000 jobs that were on the chopping block.
But can the state cut back in those areas and still operate?
The question is, they absolutely can, but will they?
Legislators will be greeted with get well cards come Monday morning. The message inside from the Public Employees Association, let the workers be part of the solution, not the problem.
State employees will lobby here on the south steps of the Capitol on Monday morning at 10:30. It was just a year ago that the Public Employees Association lobbied hard for retirement, insurance, and pay. This year, they're fighting to save their jobs. Terry Cook, News 4 at the state capitol.
most popular item.
I can't see where you're staying, so it's at, here we go. We don't really get any recognition or too much image projected for our area along Interstate 40. So we decided to get busy, get together, and try to promote our own little area.
The services we provide are the most important services that can be provided by any Oklahoman. If you got to cut at the top and work down, not at the bottom and work up. Get well soon, Oklahoma. We're behind you, we're with you, and we want to help. Oklahoma State employees are not part of the problem, they're part of the solution.
Oklahoma law provides if a person is 16 or 17 years of age and commits an offense of murder, he can be tried as an adult, which we chose to do in this particular circumstance.
Wheat growers in Oklahoma may have a new market for their product, and its arrival is none too soon. Since the price of wheat has dropped steadily over the past few years, it is now economically feasible to be used as a major feed grain for livestock. New additives have made the wheat practical for cattle and other animals, and agriculture officials are now urging wheat producers all over the state to get involved. There are 5.2 million head of cattle in Oklahoma, along with 90,000 sheep and 200,000 hogs. It's estimated that if wheat is used in just half the livestock rations, 60 million bushels would be used. That's 1.5 times more than the Soviet Union buys.
Greatly reduces transportation costs.
To drive the point home, officials with the State Wheat Commission told reporters this afternoon that a new study indicates wheat is just as effective as the traditional feed, corn.
And it's like anything else. As you gain experience, we learn how to optimize it, and now we're saying it's the full equal of corn on an energy basis. It has higher protein than corn, and so when you put it on a pound basis, we would say that wheat is probably 105% the value of corn with the knowledge that we have today.
Promoters will be traveling to feedlots around the state to promote the wheat. They say it would create $450 to $500 million in value-added product and then multiply itself throughout Oklahoma's economy. The future of the wheat industry in Oklahoma is changing, and Wheat Commission officials say that's good. They believe they will have to find new markets for their product in order to make money and to get rid of the 2 billion bushel surplus that keeps driving prices down and driving farmers out of business. Kevin Ogle, News 4, near Edmond.
I think it does have an impact to the degree that it illustrates something what we've been talking about as to the oversaturation of the market. Obviously, this region is very seriously threatened with a potential oversaturation.
Churches. That's
Yeah.
their shortcoming.
That's right.
Two Catholic priests and
I mean, that's the area. It's where we're the weakest, and they need to.
we've been for the lottery since it was first brought up 2 years ago. And our initial reaction to it was that they were irresponsible. They have to have a source of revenue here, and when the state neglects to do it, then we have to turn to the people.
We had people that are busy folks.
Anybody from any health centers up there?
No.
Let's get out there and take all the heat. I like that. I talked to several different people.
But we need those stores.
Ones that I worked on was 94.5. They told us it increased our property value.
I don't know what it's going to come to when they actually start across down there. I don't know. I would hope to think we can talk something out and get something straightened out before that happens, but I can't guarantee anything. I don't know what's going to happen down there.
We want to do everything possible to help that family to do what is right, and we have tried. We haven't just gone up there and say, boom, you have to do this or that, but we do have to get moving and get the job done. And
enterprise in the Racing Commission rules. The Racing Commission but grants race days and regulates attendance prior to the change they did last session. They advertise this level of payment to the operators. In my opinion,
I noticed my friend Ed Cook back there and members of the Oklahoma City Chamber here. I think it's interesting that they're here asking you to approve these rules, granting a 5-year moratorium, monopoly, whatever. Those are the same people who are at the Capitol telling me all the time we need less regulation, get the state off our back, let free enterprise work, let us have a chance. And now they're saying, no, wait a minute, this is good for Oklahoma City.
The state of Oklahoma is being presented, in essence, with an $80 million gift that will ultimately benefit all its citizens. I want to put people to work. That's my job. And the quickest, surest way to create jobs is to grant the requested rules and fully license Remington Park so that construction can start as soon as possible. Now is the time to help Oklahoma. Thank you.
Of gasoline goes down at the pump, that means they're shutting down the rigs. State of Oklahoma he's doing is legal, And if that's I frankly don't think we ought to be closing any prisons down. But we have 18% less money to appropriate next year than we have this year, and something has to be cut. Now, somewhere between the immovable object and the irresistible force comes a situation is that we have to exercise judgment, and corrections will be cut. We'll just do the best we can.
The Oklahoma Symphony Orchestra presents a pair of classics concerts Sunday at 3 and Tuesday, March 4th at 8:15 in the evening at Civic Center Music Hall. Kirkpatrick Planetarium explores the wonders of the phenomenon known as Halley's Comet, Saturdays and Sundays at 4 and weekdays at 3:30. The show continues through April 30th.
Somebody done somebody wrong song.
Popular singer B.J. Thomas headlines the entertainment activities at the Xanadu fundraiser for the Junior Hospitality League Saturday night. This evening, a music and a charity auction begins at 5:30 at the Skirvin Plaza. Four professional dance troupes bring grace and beauty to Stage Center this weekend when the Dance Conspiracy performs Saturday at 8 p.m. and Sunday afternoon at 2.
Why not be when the nights get cold? Why not be?
The popular mother-daughter duo The Judds will fill Doc Severinsen's with the sounds of their country hits, including the song Why Not Me, tonight at 8 and 11.
Call ourselves Pump Boys, L.M. and Jim.
Pump Boys and Dinettes, the country western musical featuring British singers Chad Stewart and Jeremy Clyde, continues for 3 more performances this weekend, tonight through Sunday at 8 o'clock each evening.
Dad, what'd you forget this time?
The most important day of his life, his wedding day. He can't even remember what he was wearing.
No.
Dad.
Look, son, do me a favor. When you get married, burn everything.
And the humor of comedian Bill Cosby will provide an evening of fun and laughter when he appears at Lloyd Noble Center tomorrow night at 9.
For the past 3 hours non-stop, looked at these men as if to say, what are you doing here? I'm just warming up.
She doesn't have anybody to bounce off of for their sake. But we see just a tremendous amount of real beauty. You know, we're glad that they're going out there in the world, but at the same time, we're going to miss.
To be a certain way. If I was going to quit.
You that you think would help her have a happy future with Missy.
All of this helps to let people know, hey, we've got some problems, but there's some hope. And it takes all of our help to help finance and support that.
Transitive has an object. And you the section on the verb.
The verb
Mm-hmm.
helps to make a statement. All verbs help to make a statement. Some help to make a statement by expressing
Public officials, as Stratton Taylor and Robert Henry, decided to go back to his homeland in northern...
To send letters of support.
As far as federal revenue that were established in Grand Rapids, as far again, and I'm very...
This administration basically does not believe that the federal government has or should have any involvement in educating the young people of our country. Basically, this administration believes the federal government's responsibility is national defense, reluctantly responsible in the area of income maintenance for retired people, and beyond that, really not much of a responsibility.